Right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going to give it a minute or two and let some more folks join us before we kick it into gear with our amazing employer information session today with Lucid Motors. Just give it another minute or two. I see a lot more folks joining us, which is super exciting. I love this. Feel free to engage in the chat as well. Perfect. Awesome. Looks like we're getting some more folks joining us. That's amazing. We have an amazing team from Lucid Motors joining us today. So super excited to have all of y'all here with us. All right, we'll just give it another minute or two. All right, let's go ahead and just get started. So hello, everybody, and welcome to today's employer information session with Lucid Motors. My name is Nicole Methvin, and I am the Employer Relations Specialist with the University of Arizona Global Campus Career Services team. We're so excited that you could join us today to learn more about these incredible career opportunities with Lucid Motors. Before I turn the floor over to Erica, Aaron, and team, I want to go over just a few housekeeping items. So this webinar is being recorded. So for all of you who have registered for today's information session, the recording will be emailed to you within a few days. We will also be taking some time to answer as many questions as possible during and at the end of the presentation. And at the bottom of the screen is a Q&A button, so you can go ahead and submit questions with your name or anonymously to be answered live, and we will do our very best to get to as many questions as we possibly can. However, if your question is not answered by the end of the presentation, you can always email it over to us in Career Services at careerservices@uagc.edu, and we'll go ahead and follow up with Lucid Motors to get any remaining questions answered. Also, please feel free to engage in the chat. You can post questions in the chat, and members of our Career Services team will be available to help answer questions throughout the entire presentation. If you have any technical difficulties, we definitely recommend logging out of Zoom and logging back in. Now, without further ado, I would absolutely love to introduce our incredible guest employer. Joining us today is Erica Sherry Jackson, Talent Experience Coordinator, Aaron Child, Senior Recruiter, as well as some amazing other team members in the recruiting department with Lucid Motors. So Erica, Aaron, and team, we're so excited to hear your presentation, and thank you so much for joining us today. I will go ahead and turn it over to you and stop my share so you can share your amazing PowerPoint presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much for having us. And before I share my screen here in a moment here, I just want to thank you all for being here. And I will go ahead and share this, and we'll talk about what we have going on here at Lucid, what a career may look like here. So yeah, let's dive in. Let me share my screen. Bear with me. All right, so before we start talking about the amazing things we have going on here, I want us to take a quick moment to see who is here with us, and I'll be helping answer some questions along the way, as well as be speaking on behalf of Lucid today as well. So of course, like Nicole said, my name is Aaron. Along with me is Erica, Patrick, Lauren, and Dom as well, and we are all here just excited to share more about Lucid. So first, over the course of this presentation, we'll share more about our company, tech products, life at Lucid, and then of course we'll make sure we leave time at the end for any questions. We've all been in your shoes before, so we're glad to help answer some of those questions and help ease the transition. So bear with me here. Let's jump in. All right. So at a high level, Lucid designs and builds electric vehicles, but what really differentiates us is how we do it. We focus heavily on performance and efficiency at the same time. We are very much a technology-first company, and that mindset shows up everywhere from engineering and software to design, and then of course manufacturing. But fun fact, Lucid actually did not start as a car company. Back in 2007, we were actually founded under the name Ativa, where our focus was battery and powertrain technology. That early work in electronic propulsion as well as efficiency is still the foundation of what we do. So fast forward to today, we are a full-scale EV manufacturer. So while we've grown into a vehicle company, that original technology DNA is still very much present. Our mission really sums it up. Through technology, we create exceptional experiences to drive the world forward. So when we think about when we look at what we are actually doing, what we say with our brand and marketing, we talk about compromise nothing. It's truly not just marketing. It reflects how our teams think, how we think about trade-offs, problem solving, quality, and really all of those factors across the entire company. So let's look at our next slide. We're going to take a look at our technology and products. So here at Lucid, we design and build our EV powertrain entirely in-house. Everything from battery and motors to the software that runs it all. So instead of optimizing for individual parts, we focus on how the entire system works as one, combining hardware and software to get more miles out of every energy unit. Now let's take a peek at our vehicles. This is what we do. It's definitely in our DNA. So looking at our Lucid Air, this is our flagship sedan. It's our first vehicle that we brought to market. It's designed to show what's possible when performance and efficiency and design are all built together from the ground up. Our Air lineup ranges from the Pure through the Sapphire. So that lets customers choose based on what matters most to them. So whether that's range, performance, or frankly, the ultimate driving experience. So next, we'll take a look at our Gravity. Our Gravity is our newest vehicle and our first SUV. The Gravity takes the same core Lucid tech and applies it to a larger platform. Of course, I'm sure as you've been driving around the roads, you've started to see some of these are just getting delivered to our customers, and you're starting to see more of those come out. And we're really excited about this, really being able to take some of that same really interesting technology, but then being able to make it more applicable for larger and growing families. Now, the Gravity represents where we are today, but I want to shift gears to where we are headed next with our mid-sized platform. So a few months ago at our Investor Day, we revealed that our mid-sized offering. Now, we haven't officially put out some of our vehicles and pictures and anything like that just yet. They're not on the road, but I'm sure if you do some digging around the internet, you might be able to get some snippets. I won't reveal everything, but you might be able to catch some snippets if you do enough digging there. But like I said, these vehicles aren't on the road yet, but they're key to our strategy for moving into higher volume segments. The first two models that we have are the Lucid Cosmos and Lucid Air. So we aim to bring that efficiency and performance to a more accessible price point, starting at that $50,000 mark and below. Now, you'll see three on here. Our third midsize model has been confirmed, but we are going to be revealing that at a later time. So, you've heard me mention in reference to compromise nothing. With that philosophy as our North Star, next let's take a quick look at our industry-leading results that we've achieved thus far. So here, this is just a quick snapshot of the kinds of problems that our teams are solving. So we think about things like power, energy, speed, and efficiency all at once. Now this is in reference to our Air Sapphire, but at our peak performance, that means 1,200 horsepower, more than 500 miles of range, charging that adds up to 200 miles in roughly 12 minutes, and then of course, all while delivering sub 2 second 0 to 60 performance. So I'm not a speed demon, but I know a lot of folks are, but being able to accomplish that in under 2 seconds, that's incredible. There are definitely some videos of our Lucid Sapphire racing against some of the other major players in high performance vehicles and racing against them. So I'd encourage you to get on the internet, check out YouTube videos, and truly see it. This is not just fluff. This is something that has been that's been able to be viewed from other folks doing this as well, taking that vehicle and really showcasing what it can do. So the work behind those numbers has led to some truly meaningful recognition over the past year, and we'll take a quick look at that as well. These are some of our most recent awards that we've achieved as an organization. Super proud of this. We are continuing to grow and really just expand the minds of new customers and frankly society and how and what is possible with electric vehicles. So we've talked a lot about the technology, the vehicles, the results. Now I do want to shift gears and let's talk a little bit about life at Lucid, what it really is like to work here. So this slide just showcases our company values. These values represent principles that shape our culture. They guide how our teams show up, how work gets done, and how decisions are made across the company. Rather than being role specific, these are meant to create alignment and encouraging collaboration, ownership, and focus on doing meaningful work. So, as a part of what makes up life at Lucid, we also want to touch briefly on how we foster connection, inclusion, and belonging across the company. So here at Lucid, these are our business employee resource groups. We refer to them as BERGs. And these are employee-led groups that help build community and belonging across the organization. They're open and inclusive spaces that support professional growth, shared learning, and connection. Frankly, the goal is simple. We want to make sure that people feel seen, supported, and they're able to do their best work. Now, as we move forward to help round out life at Lucid, we'll briefly touch on the benefits. I won't get into specifics just because they do vary based on location, but just want to give you a sense of what that could look like working here at Lucid. So we are here at Lucid, employee well-being is a top priority. We offer medical plans along with dental and vision coverage. And like I mentioned before, they do vary by location, but the goal is truly simple. We want to make sure that people and their families have access to competitive healthcare options. From a financial perspective, Lucid offers a good 401k with a company match, along with HSA and FSA options to help employees plan for long-term savings, as well as the day-to-day healthcare expenses. Now, beyond the basics, Lucid offers mental health support and paid company holidays. I'll briefly pause here. That piece for me, the mental health support, is something that's near and dear for my heart. Of course, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and that is something I'm taking care of because I can't be my best self as a father if my mental is not there. So that's definitely something that we do offer here, and I'm truly grateful that Lucid does offer as an employee. Next, we'll take a quick look at where we work. This is a quick snapshot of our global footprint. So Lucid operates across 9 different countries with a mix of factories, studios, and service centers supporting our customers globally. That global presence allows our teams to collaborate across regions while staying close to the markets that we serve. Our global footprint is powered by a wide range of backgrounds. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Erica to give us a quick snapshot of what the internship programs look like.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. Yes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. My name is Erica. I'm on the university team here. I have a few of my colleagues on the call as well, and I will be going over, like Erin mentioned, an overview of our internship and early career program here at Lucid Motors. Okay, so internships at Lucid, where skills meet innovation. So when it comes to the types of internship opportunities that we offer and the roles that we have available, these are some of the common backgrounds and majors that we mostly see here. So a lot within the engineering realm, whether it's software, mechanical, lots of manufacturing, computer science, design, and supply chain, business and operations as well. So a little bit of everything. And why should you intern at Lucid? So our summer program is 12 weeks long. So usually running from May through August or June through September, kind of depending on when you're out of school and what fits with your school schedule. But you will be working on a meaningful project that would help further your career. So every intern gets their own project to work on. You get to work in a growing, fast-paced environment. So you'll be able to learn a lot. We plan a lot of really fun team bonding with the other interns, as well as networking with others in the company events that we have going on. You'll also be assigned a mentor for your time at Lucid. So, along with the manager that you'll be working with, you'll also have someone on the team who can work alongside you and be an added resource for you throughout the summer. And there's also opportunities to convert to full-time employment upon graduation. Okay, cool. So who is eligible and where you can apply? So we typically hire juniors and seniors that are either undergrads, masters, or working in a PhD program. Our internships only fall into the summertime. So since we are actively in summer right now, We are not hiring anymore for 2026, but we will be hiring for 2027. So to qualify for an internship specifically, your graduation dates for this upcoming year would need to fall between December of 2027 and June of 2028. Unfortunately, new grads are not eligible for the internship program, but we do, on occasion offer for hot hire for new grad roles as well. And then you can check out our careers page in early fall to see what internship roles we're going to be having for next summer. Okay, cool. So new college grads specifically. So periodically we do hire for early career roles. So those would be those who have already graduated from college and maybe have 0 to 3 years of experiences. Um, you can check out our careers page to apply, and new grad hiring doesn't fall within a specific season like internships do, since you're no longer in school. These would just be regular full-time roles. So those would be hiring year round when we do have those open. How to kind of spot a role that would lean more towards early career would be, for example, a role listed as like engineer versus something that says like senior or staff level engineer. So looking more for that type of title. And if you know that you do have graduation coming up, it would be a part of a best practice to maybe consider applying for those roles 3 to 4 months before your graduation, just so that you can start um, getting in the interview process, as well as give the recruiting team time to get through all the resumes and everything. So the sooner you apply, the better for sure. Okay, cool. So next steps, we are going to begin recruiting for summer 2027 in August and September of this year. So just be on the lookout for our careers page, lucidmotors.com/careers. That's where all of our internship roles are going to be posted. Apply to the areas that you are most interested in. So I know earlier we kind of covered the types of roles that we hire for. It's really across the board. And it's not just, you don't just have to submit one application. If there's other roles across different teams that you find interesting, like go ahead and apply. And then a lot of our application reviewing and interviews will take place from September through January.
Awesome. Awesome. So that does conclude our presentation today. Nicole, keep me honest. I think you can share screen, you can share our QR code where folks can submit their applications.
Absolutely. I will go ahead and do that right now, Erin. Let me go ahead and get that on the screen here. Perfect. Can everybody see that okay? Okay, awesome. So yes, if you are interested in applying to any of these amazing roles that Lucid Motors has discussed today, you could go ahead and scan this QR code. You could join the Lucid Motors careers page. You can join the Lucid Motors early talent page as well. You can also submit your resume to this link here on the screen too. And then additionally, it looks like we are getting some questions in the chat. So if we can go ahead and open that up for Q&A, I'd love to go ahead and do that. Thank you so much, Erica, Erin, and team for this informative presentation. It was so awesome getting to learn a little bit more about Lucid and everything that you do. It's incredible work. So let me go ahead and open it up for questions. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Looks like... What are some transferable skills that you find to be most valuable in EV roles at Lucid Motors? If anybody wants to take that.
Yeah, good question. Good question. I'd say some of the most transferable things. So I'll answer this two ways. One from an early career perspective, but then also from someone that may have some more experience in their career thus far. I'd say early on, I think the most transferable thing would be one, an eagerness to learn. I've supported some roles that are entry level from the manufacturing side of the house, and then even through some entry level engineering type roles. And one consistent theme that I hear from all of my hiring managers is, hey, yes, I can see they can do the work. I can see they've finished, they've earned their degree, right? But they may come in here and it's going to be a complete 180 from maybe what they have already learned. They've learned something that's specific to that university or that particular course or that project, but Are you still willing to take, bring that eagerness that you brought to your university and bring it to Lucid as well? So that has been something that's been consistent with all of my hiring managers. And then I'd say from the perspective of someone that has more experience in their career thus far,
Mhm.
if you're coming from, let's say another, auto player, I would say, hey, being able to be open to something new. And I say that with a grain of salt, but I say that because I have recruited from some of the big players. So think of the big
Mhm.
three. Think of your Fords, your GMs. Some people get so ingrained in that process that they are unable to branch out to try something different. So I think keeping that curiosity and being able to still, of course, bring that experience, but also still be open to making it make sense for the EV space.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Erin. I really appreciate your perspective on that. And I think it's really valuable for our students and our alumni to hear that as they are transitioning maybe from a different career or going into, getting out of school and starting off on their career. So thank you so much for sharing that. So we have a couple more questions that I definitely want to throw your way. This one's actually very interesting, and I think it's something that you will find interesting as well. So the student says, I'm a business economics major, and I'm very interested in how the economy will be engaged with autonomous vehicles. So my question is how technology will help grow and scale in such a competitive industry, and what the roles does Lucid have to support this, and what that looks like.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
I know.
Yeah. So, I think one thing I would share. So let's go on a journey here. Okay. So if you even look, let's rewind. Let's call it 5 years. How society even approached EVs was very different, night and day different. I would even say. We I won't speak specific on Lucid, but I know other EV players as well were unable to even sell EVs in certain parts of the country purely from a safety perspective and not having a charging infrastructure. So now bring it back to present date. It's very hard to go anywhere and not find the capacity and the infrastructure for charging. So that in and of itself has changed the game with respect to who is even open to buying an electric vehicle. Now, with respect to autonomous driving, that is something that is, gosh, I'm really excited about it because this was
Mhm.
once just a dream, right? If I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but if you think back to the Jetsons, there was a lot of technology there that we once thought was just frankly imaginary. But guess what?
Mhm.
It's here. It's here. So what people are going to be even open to getting in a vehicle where there is no one else driving it? Do you really
Mhm.
trust it? It's one of those things where I think time will tell, and I'm being cautious with how I respond to this because this is some of
Mhm.
my own personal thoughts, but also I want to be
Totally.
make sure I answer it as well.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
but it's one of those things where time will tell.
Yep.
And forgive me if this does seem just very, very vague, but you look at how this is growing. I think it's
Mhm.
it's one of those things where you have to trust it yourself. We can build the technology. We can do it. But do you as the consumer trust it? Do you as the consumer you weren't even ready to buy an EV, but now we're going to have this EV that's driving me from point A to point B. I'm going to get in my garage, press a button, and it's going to drive me to Target, drive me back, and I'm going to sit in the back seat this whole time. So I do think there will be some time for societal and global adaptation of it and truly
Mhm.
to trust it. But I love what our team is doing. First, it's safety, right?
Yeah.
We have invested millions and billions of dollars on the safety aspect of it because, like I said, if one, it's going to take a while for people to trust it. But if you get in there in your first time and you have, I won't call it a poor experience, but let's say that there's something that is questionable from a safety experience.
Mhm.
Now you're going to go tell everyone else, everyone in your network, I'm not doing this. Do not trust it. So we are being very cautious with how we approach this and definitely prioritizing safety. So it's a good question, and I'm going to leave it at time will tell.
That's an amazing answer, and I really appreciate that insight as well. Got some great questions rolling in. So I'm going to kind of change directions here. So we do have a lot of military affiliated students here at UAGC, and we have somebody in the chat asking if Lucid offers like a skill bridge program for military members or any type of military affiliated benefits, if you could touch on that at all.
I'm sorry, Nicole, could you say the last part of that question?
Yeah, for sure. The question was, does Lucid offer a skill bridge program for military members or really any kind of benefits for military affiliated?
Off the top of my head, there isn't anything specific, but
Okay.
as we have events like this today, we're partnering with your university as well as others
Mhm.
as well that do prioritize that. And prior to the call, I'm gonna share a little bit of our conversation. I was sharing around how I didn't know truly what some of those challenges were as, you know, as folks who have served are transitioning into civilian life. There are
Yeah,
so many challenges with that. Being able to take your skills and make them more applicable for different industries, right? So
absolutely.
as we are doing that, there isn't a specific program, but we are partnering with all of these different universities and
Yeah.
other small affiliated, not even necessarily included with universities or areas in academia. But how can
Mhm.
we help bridge that gap? So that's definitely something top of mind for us on the recruiting side. Now, in terms of a specific program, that's not in place, but some of that is because we are still a much younger company with respect to
Absolutely.
some of the other players that have some of these more established programs in place already.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Aaron. I really appreciate that. So, again, kind of shifting gears here. So, with like the recruiting hat on, what would you say, like, what does a strong candidate look like for entry level or early career roles with Lucid Motors?
Sorry, I had a hard time coming off mute.
You're good,
Um,
Erica.
no worries. Yeah. No, great question. So some of the skill sets that we tend to look for, um, I think a good one is if you've have any previous internship experience before,
Mhm.
any, even real world working experience as well, is something that we look for also. And I really think it depends on your major. So if you are
Totally.
someone who is doing computer science or engineering,
Mhm.
AI is really big and taken over. And I know that that's something that does come up in interviews, and it is technologies that our leaders like to see that people have a background and skill set with. So if you maybe haven't dabbled in that, it would kind of be a
Mhm.
good time to maybe start doing that. Because I know that that's something that not just Lucid Motors, but a lot of employers are going to be looking for those skill sets. Um,
Absolutely.
oh, sorry, Nicole, did you say something?
Nope, I was just
Oh,
agreeing. I'm
okay.
like nodding my head because I'm like, yes, Erica, I totally agree with everything you're saying. That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of the times, if I could give a little bit of advice when it comes
Yeah.
to preparing for, your next role or entering the workforce, I know a lot of people like to focus on the technical skills that they can bring, but also soft
Mhm.
skills really matter a lot too. People
Absolutely.
like to see how you solve problems, communication, all of that are things that are also being assessed, not just kind of what
Mhm.
are some of like the hard skills that you bring to the tables, but what are some of your soft skills as well? How do you work in a group? How have you ever led something? How do
Mhm.
you deal with conflict? So being able to also speak to those experiences are also going to be pretty helpful during like really any interview process. It's a lot about the soft skills as well.
I could not agree more with you on that, Erica. I know a lot of our amazing career coaches, when we're in our coaching appointments, we're talking about obviously the value of those technical skills, but it's those interpersonal skills too that really make you stand out, right, in the whole selection process. So I really appreciate you touching on that. It's so important. Okay, let's see here. I'm just gonna see if we have some more questions. We have a lot of great questions coming in. So let's see. Um, I know some folks, and I think Erica, you might have been answering this in the chat, so I apologize if this is repetitive information for you. But what is Lucid Motors' policy methodologies on remote work? Is that an opportunity, or what does that look like with Lucid Motors?
Yeah, I think it varies on the
Okay.
role. I know specifically for our internships, they are mostly in office. However, depending on the
Mhm.
team, I know some of our interns do have a couple of days where they do work from home. But we do encourage coming to the office because our internships this year are hosted in California and Arizona. So a lot of
Mhm.
people got to travel in for their internships. We want them
Mhm.
to not just kind of sit in wherever their summer housing is, but to actually, be able to get some face time and build community among the other interns who are in the office, as well as just the Lucid employees in general. So it kind
Absolutely.
of really just depends on the role in the team. If you check out our career site, if you're looking for full-time opportunities, then if they do have like hybrid or remote, that would be listed in the job. But most of our internships are going to be in person in the office.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Eric. I really appreciate that. Okay, so this one's interesting, and I actually really like this because I think you talked a little bit about this today during the presentation, but if you could elaborate just a little bit more on it. It looks like we have a student who is pursuing a degree in computer software technology, and they're really trying to be intentional about preparing for roles like the ones at Lucid before graduation. So, what technologies, tools, or workflows does your team use most often, and would it be beneficial for them to start learning any of them now before they graduate?
That's a really good question. That's a really good
Mhm.
question. And, I would almost answer that question with a question. I would say, what are you passionate about and what are you interested in?
Mhm.
Because when I look at a computer science degree, that's what it was, right? Computer science role.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so if it's someone that you can do so much with that. So
Mhm.
if I was on the phone with this person and said, hey, what are you interested in? Do you see yourself wanting to go down the autonomous driving route? Do you see yourself wanting to be that person that is capturing data as we are rolling out new prototypes? Do you want to be that type of person that is doing the engineering for the infotainment that's going into the vehicle? So that's hard to answer. I would push it back and say, hey, what are you truly interested in? There are
Mhm.
so many opportunities with vehicles, especially with our tech forward, type of philosophy that we're looking at. So it is hard to answer that, but from a general perspective, I would never tell someone not to go learn into a new technology.
Right.
But at the same time, if you are as you're going into a new company, you might learn something that is, you can get it all down pat. I love what LinkedIn Learning is doing. You can learn so
Totally.
much, but then when you get into this new organization, they may be doing something a little bit different, or they may be working with a tool that is not available externally. So
Mhm.
in some respects, if you didn't have something truly honed in on what you're looking for, it could almost do a disservice for you, depending upon what you want to do. So, I mean, yes, some foundational basics, yes, do that. I would definitely encourage that. And like I said, I can't say this enough. I'm not saying don't go learn the things. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying maybe hone in on what you want to do and learn some of those foundational basics and make it applicable for you as you're applying for new opportunities.
I love that advice, Erin, too. And I think, too, that's a skill set within itself, right? Where you're kind of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, learning what is you're most comfortable with, but getting that foundation, like that skill set down that you were talking about, and then kind of using that as a jumping off point. I really appreciate you talking about that. I think a lot of our students and grads can resonate with that for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, this is an interesting one. And being a former recruiter, I'm kind of interested to hear this one as well. So, are there common mistakes that you see candidates make during the application or interview process that they should avoid?
Two responses here,
Mhm.
two different perspectives. The first from a entry level type of a role. Um, and this is hard because I've been there as well, where you're coming from an undergrad program that and it may have changed, but a lot of times it would prioritize the depth of an assignment,
Mhm.
meaning you're driven to want to share as much information as possible about this one thing. When you get into a phone call with me, or then that next step with the hiring manager, that chat is only going to be a half hour, 45 minutes tops on the front end of that. So I'm not saying don't give the depth in your response, but we
Right.
don't need to know everything that may not be as applicable. So I had a candidate, and I had to help reel it back in a little bit. Great candidate. We actually ended up hiring him,
I love it.
but we started off the chat, and I said, "Hey, just give me a quick high level of your background." I always do my homework before a chat, so I kind of know what I want to ask. But I have done this long enough to know that a resume doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
So I like to start off open ended like that. But the candidate said, "Yeah, back in the '70s, I started here." I said, "Hold on, wait a minute. let's bring it to some more something that's more present day, because the initial work that
Mhm.
he was talking about was not relevant to the role and what we were actually hiring for and what we were going to chat about. So
Mhm.
we would have ended up spending roughly 20 minutes. I mean, that's two-thirds of the call, and I still don't
Totally.
know what you're doing right now. So I
Mhm.
would encourage folks to be more concise in their delivery. Of course, the AI bug, it's very real.
Mhm.
I truly believe folks need to be, you need to know how to use AI
Yeah.
and how you prepare, but don't solely leverage AI. It can make mistakes. I know AI puts that little blurb on the bottom of it and says AI can make mistakes, but also you need to be a human, use your own
Mhm.
eyeballs, and look at that before you submit your resume. I was a lot of my work revolves around working with passive candidates. So I may find a
Yeah.
resume or a LinkedIn profile for someone, and they can look great on that. But then they'll
Mhm.
send me the resume, and they'll have this beautiful, well documented resume. And at the bottom of it, it'll say, like, "Oh, is this what you want? What can we add next?" And it's like, okay, I know you're using it. I'm still going to call you, but it's those little
Mhm.
details, right?
Yeah.
I know my job as a recruiter is to get to the bottom of what you're doing and what you've done in your past and how this can make sense
Mhm.
for this new role. But also, you need to be mindful of how you use the tools, because at the end of the day, I mean, we're still humans, and we want to make
Absolutely.
sure that you're being thoughtful and mindful of that. So, little bit of a rant there. So I'll
Oh, I love it. I love it, Erin. It's all such valuable information, and I know our students love hearing this, especially in today's competitive job market. It's so important to hear that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I also think too, I think this is my career coaching hat coming on, but tailoring that resume, being concise, employers value that. So I really appreciate you touching on that for sure. Okay, so we have a couple more questions. It looks like we have a recent grad who just graduated from UAGC. Congratulations. Can they still apply for internship roles or obviously full-time roles too?
Yeah, so if someone is a recent grad, unfortunately, they wouldn't qualify for our current internship program,
Okay,
but you would qualify for full-time opportunities. So you
awesome.
can check out our careers page and see what we have available, as well
Amazing.
as check it year round also.
Awesome. I love that, Erica. Thank you so much for that. This is an interesting question as well. What advice would you give students or maybe career changers trying to break into the EV or advanced manufacturing industry?
I'd say do.
Honest.
Oh,
Oh,
please go ahead. Go ahead.
honestly, I was just gonna say, do some research, obviously, and kind of like find your niche. Find
Yeah.
something you're passionate about that, you may have loved, like working with during your time at school. Personally, I actually had a career change. I graduated with a computer science degree, and now I'm working with the university or the recruiting team, and so. Honestly, just finding what you like most, honestly, because I personally I like working with tech and I love talking. And so I feel like with this, it kind of like mixes like best of both worlds, right? And so
Mhm.
honestly, you just have to find what you really like. I can't stress that enough. And just like finding what you really like doing, and it just becomes a lot easier
Mhm.
looking into like, like what you want to do, like with the companies and just like even, trying these internships, you get to like really find out what you might want to work on. So
Totally.
just be open-minded for everything for sure.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, like you said too, like that internship, I always tell my students, you're like able to test drive a car before you actually buy one, right? So I really appreciate you sharing that insight. That is awesome. Looks like we're getting close to wrapping up on questions. I'll probably do just a couple more here. So, what would you say does a strong candidate maybe look like for somebody wanting to join the team at Lucid Motors? Is there anything in particular that you're looking for? I know we've kind of talked a little bit about this, but if there's anything more you could add to that, that'd be awesome.
I'd say for me, the biggest thing is I think soft skills on the front end.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be honest. The whole reason I've reached out to you or even looked at your resume is not because I'm trying to see like, oh, hey, maybe this person might be a fit. I already think you might be a fit,
Right.
right? I need you to be able to articulate what you've done, and honestly, do it in a confident way. I'm not
Mhm.
saying you need to be this someone that you're not. It's one of my favorite movies is Hitch, and he has a
Mhm.
segment in there where he talks about someone wants to see the real you. So if you're not a funny person, don't be funny. That's okay. That's okay, right? I don't
Mhm.
need you to do this whole act, but I do want you to be confident in your delivery. That's certainly something
Mhm.
that stands out when you're speaking to one of us on the phone. Um, and then also do your homework.
Yeah.
I don't need you to go through and learn our entire mission statement. I don't need you to know, what our last, Q1 earnings were. I don't need all of that, but at least know some foundational things. And I
Mhm.
say that with, so much importance because I will never forget this. I spoke with the candidate. This was back in Q2 of last year. Candidate, I'm not going to share names because that is inappropriate. So, but I spoke with the candidate, and this person just did not know who we were. I said, hey, you would be leading a team that would be helping put together our vehicles before they roll off the lot, before they roll out of our plant. And this person was like, oh, so do you do any, gas combustion vehicles, anything like that? And I'm like, no. Oh, so do you do this? You only do EVs? I'm like, yes, that is quite literally what we do. We do not do
Mhm.
anything beyond that. And it was something where I was honestly, I thought I was getting punked. I was like, wow, is this real? So what am I saying here? Do the foundational research for, and this is not just for Lucid, but any company you're going to speak to,
Yes.
know who they are, know what they're doing, because it will show through in your initial chat with the recruiter. And like I said, it needs to be concise. It's going to be a 30-minute chat. And a lot of interviews now are, over a Zoom or video type of a platform. So
Mhm.
you can have a second screen up there with some notes, and that's okay. I'm none the wiser, right? So I just think that we have too many tools that we can use
Mhm.
now. If you're not, you don't need to be the most well read person, but you can fake it till you make it, right? So, and
Absolutely.
if you're not using those tools, that's on you. So,
Mhm.
let me get off my high horse there. Wow, that was a lot. So,
No, I appreciate that, Erin. It's so true. It's so important to do your research, do your homework so you can have those intentional career conversations or interviews with the employers or with the recruiters, right? So I really appreciate that, Erin. Thank you so much. And I know there's a lot of questions that have come in through today. So if we did not get to all of your questions, like we said earlier, you can always email them over to careerservices@uagc.edu, and we're happy to go ahead and send those questions over to the incredible Lucid Motors team. But it looks like we are coming close to time here, and I want to be cognizant of that. But behalf on of the UAGC Global Campus Career Services team, I would just like to thank every single one of the presenters at Lucid Motors for sharing their time, your insights, your opportunities with us today. It's been so valuable, so informative. So, to learn more about Lucid Motors, please visit, like we said earlier, their careers page, their early talent page. We have it on the screen here. And if you are interested in applying or would like to be considered for future internship career opportunities, please scan that QR code currently displayed on the screen and use that application link as well that's on the screen too, provided to submit information directly to the Lucid Motors team. If you would like to connect with Lucid Motors as well as other organizations that are actively hiring, please feel free to log into Handshake through your student portal. We also really encourage you to regularly check Handshake, UAGC Connect, your UAGC email for upcoming career services events, employer information sessions, networking opportunities, as well as job postings. Reminder, you will be receiving a follow-up email with a link to this recording and information about careers at Lucid Motors. If you do have any questions for the career services team on your resume, cover letter, or job search, please email careerservices@uagc.edu, log into Handshake through your student portal to also explore some more amazing resources. Please also take a minute to hang on at the close of this info session. You are going to be directed to complete just a quick confidential survey. Your responses really do help to guide us in planning future employer information sessions, career fairs, as well as events. And if you're unable to complete it now, the survey will also be emailed to you with a copy of the recording. I cannot thank this incredible team with Lucid Motors enough. So many thanks to Erica, Aaron, and the amazing recruiting team at Lucid Lucid Motors. And thank you so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed this conversation. It was so valuable and insightful. And many thanks to you, our incredible students and graduates, for attending UAGC. Thank you so much for attending this event today, and we look forward to seeing you at more career services events hosted this year. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.